somebody is saying, I'm an intuitive reader, I'm not a broker. I read energy, I don't read signals. There are three men. One of them is middle-aged, about a stout, fat guy, and he's wearing a gray suit. This person, somebody has trusted some broker with his assets, and they put all of it in the market, and they're waiting for the signals. But it's already predicted that the person has lost all his assets. And he keeps saying, I'm an intuitive reader, I'm not a broker. Anyway, when it comes to such things, when you're dealing with something which you don't know, you should always apply what you know. And I guess that's what happened to me. I think it's time that I talk about how I lost my money through scamming brokers. Yes, that's what they claimed, that in a week's time, you give your money, in a week's time it becomes 10 times more, or even more than that. And they show you all the testimonies and everything. But all of them are just fake. It's only to lure people, to give them money, and then once they get their money, they ask for even more and more and more and more. And even just $100 is even, they will just fight even to get $100 from you. 150, whatever kind of amount. It doesn't matter whether it's high or low. It just doesn't matter. They will just ask for more and more. They show you screenshots of allegedly meant to be your accounts. Screenshot showing huge amount of money, and within a short period of time of 24 hours. And they tell you, if you want to withdraw this much, you have to give a certain amount of money. And the certain amount of money is almost 10 times more of the amount of money which you initially give in. And then when you give that, they ask you again another 10 times more, and again another 10 times more, showing you the accounts, the way it's growing and growing and growing, and yet there's nothing like that. It's just a setup. And because you think it's genuine, and if you end up being like sort of naive, I guess I was like that at that time. I am naive to a certain extent, and I'm not ashamed of being naive. Being naive is good because you don't expect bad things from people and you try to do good things. But sometimes these scammers just take advantage of you, and you lose a lot of things, and it ends up being a trauma. Anyway, that's how they function. Once they have you give even a $10 bill or anything, they start behaving like vampires, sucking out each and every coin that you have until they leave you with nothing. And when they finally finish off with you, they start gang stalking and bullying you and making you feel like you're a total failure and that it's like the reason why you're not able to withdraw that money is all your fault. And yet that's not the reason. They're just being narcissistic, behaving in a narcissistic kind of a way, just sucking off people's hard-earned money until they make the person self-destruct themselves. And then that's when you are able to be free. Otherwise, if you are still standing on your ground, they will just gang stalk you, bully you until you surrender your life. Because that is what they want. They want you to self-destruct yourself so that you will not be able to give any kind of testimony, so that you will not be able to say anything against them. Well, that's what happens. They suck all the money out of you until you die. And they have no sympathy or any kind of compassion. They're just focused on getting their goals done in the shortest time as possible. Sometimes they're very patient and they can go on like that for years and years and years until they see you fall down, because they're afraid if you're still standing and alive, you will give them in to the fates. Anyway, there were three people, these three men. They move around in a van, a very big van. It's something grayish, bluish. And it looks like one of those federal vans. Inside, it's equipped with computers which read signals for the stock market. And that's how they function. And I guess they don't stay in one place. After finishing one victim, they move on to another area. And they always get away with it. But this time they looked so, how do I say, they were in a panicky mode. They had to do it in the shortest time as possible, get back their assets. But they only made the person lose all his assets. All the money that he had put in, it came back to zero. And that's very sad. And the person was just seeing his assets go down, just melting away right in front of his eyes. Actually, dealing with Forex or anything like that, if you don't know how to read the signals properly yourself, you will just lose. You have to know, and the signals, you have to mark them at a certain way that it's almost the same kind of pattern repeating. And that's how you're able to earn your money. But that's something, I don't know, I feel like it's almost just like gambling. You're gambling your money away. And every time you win, you feel that kind of the surge of pleasure. And every time you lose, you get that anxiety of wanting to get back your money, and you put in even more and more and more. It's some sort of kind of a gambling, and it's not good. And it keeps people stuck. What I was doing was I wasn't sticking to one person, but then, because they were all coming from the same community, I had no idea that it was all a scripted setup. They were all acting together as a group. If one fails, they send another one, and if the other one fails, they send another one, and they're all of different kind of features. Some are religious, some are not, some are just too friendly. And the way they are so good at acting, they impersonate public figures. And because you're thinking it's a public figure and you can't be cheated from a public figure because you're thinking it's a public figure. There is no way they can tell you a lie, but it's not that public figure which you're thinking, especially if you've not seen that person. You've not seen that person, you've not spoken to the person in neither video-wise or voice-wise. It's just messaging, and it's messaging in such a way where it's in a place where it's confined, and the encrypting of the messaging cannot be found in an easy way. You have to struggle to get back all those encrypted kind of. Actually, everything on the internet is encrypted, but they will still find a way to message with you through other ways where they're thinking it won't be monitored. Anyway, I had all these weird conversations where they narcissistically abuse you in all ways to make you feel like you are worthless, and the only way you will feel worthy, and the only way you will feel worthy is by giving them more and more money. For me, I just wanted my money back, and because I could not believe that I gave away my money just like that, and I'm not getting anything back. So I was giving the money slowly, and they slowly sucked out my whole account. And I ended up in a debt. And when I ended up in a debt is when I had a big bill to pay back within a short period of time. So I sold my car in order to pay back that bill. And even then, after selling my car, I gave half of the money to my ex-husband. And I was using the other half in order to try and get back the money. But then I was still not seeing that it was a trap, and that I was losing more and more money. And then when I came to realize that one day, I just woke up and I was like, why am I so obsessed with this thing? Like, my money will still come back, holding on to the hope that I will get my money back. And it was not coming back. I was just giving and getting nothing back. And they kept calling and checking on me all the time, trying to be friendly and behaving as if they really care about what happens to my money or anything like that. And because I was dealing with it all alone, I came to a state where I started being very anxious. I didn't know how such things were operating, and I didn't know these people very well, only through messaging. People I've not seen, they just sent me certificates which were fake to prove that they were genuine or real, legit. They used to send fake ID cards showing that they were brokers or whatever. Maybe they were right, but still it was all fake documents, fake everything was fake, everything. Even the platform site where you they were operating and showing like this is your account. All they did was just, I guess, that ended up being also like an identity theft as well, because they also got my details somehow. And for one, there was smart multiple options. That was the place that got a lot of my money. And they even went ahead to make me fill a form where they were asking for details of my passport. I gave them details of my old passport, which had already expired, and I'm not using that name anymore. Anyway, and the e-signature that I used was an e-signature which I never used. So one day I woke up and I asked God, help me, because I don't know what I'm doing right now, and I'm losing a lot of money. And at that time I was already detached from my ex-husband. Even then, it was after I sold my car, that's when I really got detached altogether. And I guess that it was that car that was keeping me holding on to my ex-husband. So when it was sold, there was no meaning at all in the relationship. And of course, you cannot put value on material in your relationship, but it had sort of like a bond in a way in the marriage. To me, it was like it was something like a symbol which was holding me into the marriage. But at the same time, the car was the last present my late father gave to me, and that was what awoke me from that illusion. And I stopped contacting these people. Every time they called, I just didn't pick up their calls. I didn't answer their messages. And I just had to surrender and accept that I had lost that money and I wasn't going to get it back. So I had to start from zero again. And one day, as I was looking out through the window, I just made a decision that I was going to divorce my husband, my ex-husband. And with that, I just not only divorced my husband, I suppose I divorced even the scammers as well. Because they approach you in such a way, they attach onto you as if they are your friends. It's somebody you can really rely on, and you believe them, you trust them. And at that time, it was so funny because I was researching on old women who are being scammed by these kind of scammers, romantic scammers or something like that. And although I knew such things were happening, I guess I must have thought that something like that couldn't happen to me, because they use your trust in order to suck out your money. Well, I was looking at the window and I just made a decision, and I called my lawyer. And I told him I wanted to finish my marriage, and we talked for a few minutes, and the next day we were in his office and the procedures went on. It was we made agreement between us, and that the divorce process just ended up within a month. It was finished. He moved to his mother's house, and I stayed on in the rented apartment where I'm staying with my 2 kids. And we agreed on a certain amount of money for child support. it's not much, really. It's not much, but it's better than nothing, is what I'm saying. But I'm thankful and grateful that I will try to manage. But this coming experience just taught me that I had to get rid of all the toxic kind of relationships I had with everyone, because the scammers were also behaving in such a way. Like in my marriage, it was almost just the same thing, almost just like that, sucking my financial situation, sucking my finances until I was zero, and then I had to be dependent on other people. And I was fed up of that kind of a situation. I didn't want to be dependent on anyone. Or rather, it's not bad to be dependent on somebody, but they were just taking advantage of me, just getting, and not giving anything back, a narcissistic kind of a way, where you're sucked of everything until they finish you, and when they finish you, they already have another source, so they just discard you. But I'm surprised why these people are not discarding me. Even after that, when I decided, no, I'm not going to go on with this, they still went about stalking me, gang stalking me, bullying me, calling and trying to make me feel like your money is still there. They're still calling, still sending messages. And I'm not answering back. Because there's no need, I guess. They're just checking out to see if I'm reporting them to any of the feds. The thing is, I just already reported them a long time ago. So I guess even if they check me out and anything like that, the milk is already spilled. They are reported and they are under investigation. And I'm just sitting and waiting, because I know as a result they will all be caught. And they will have to pay for what they've done. Because many people, when you end up in such a situation, you feel ashamed of yourself. You feel like it gives you a very big kind of a guilty feeling. And you don't want people to know, you don't want anyone to realize that you've done such kind of a thing, and you feel like you're such an unworthy kind of a person. And generally, most of the time, people just self-destruct themselves. They commit suicide. And I guess this is what they are expecting of me, because at the same time, they used to use spells in order to keep me within, to keep me with that illusion of I will get my money, because I can't think of any other way as how I could have stayed there, because for years I've stayed away from Forex. I don't involve myself with such things, and then just suddenly, just one day, I'm like, I start the thing, and it was like something never-ending nightmare. And there was a military guy also. He claimed that he was using Binance or whatever for his assets. That's what he was telling me, and he was trying to get me to the platform, but I got stuck there because some of my documents were missing, and I couldn't register on the site. I managed to open an account, but I could not use it because there was some things missing. and he got frustrated and he just discarded me. And it was after that I approached one of the people, Alex Montero. And Alex Montero was strategically using it or approaching it in such a way. He was like, because I'd known him from the community for a certain period of time, and he was one person I was trusting in the community among all those other people. And he didn't push me to doing the whatever. It was only after I had registered under his platform is when he started pushing and trying to suck out all the money. He could behaving like, yeah, I'm your friend and I want the best for you and everything, and look, you are divorcing and blah 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 and whatever, because he knew that I had marriage problems, and he used that. But then by the end of it, I even told him, yeah, I don't want to do anything with you because you did the worst than my ex-husband. And he was really hurt by my saying this. I don't know, because that's how he was saying. But anyway, I guess it's just part of the script to behave like that. And then after, there was a Priscilla lady. She was like Spanish. She kept calling, and the way she was speaking in the background, there was always Spanish music, and she was speaking with a Spanish accent. And then there was these two guys, Louis and James. Actually, I should have looked such things up. Normally, I look it up, but because of the spells they were putting on me, I was so delusioned in such a way. I was just doing what they were telling me to do. And when it was coming to a point where I was feeling like I was going to lose my mind, I asked for help from God, and He gave me the answers, because the next day I just started doing my research. And I found out that all that they were showing and forwarding out and presenting out to people was just nothing but fake. And I documented all those things, and I forwarded it to the feds. And the worst one was from Smart Multiple Options, where they really sucked out large amounts of money from me, because somebody was imposting themselves as a public figure. But at the same time, I could never be sure if it was the real person or not. But at the end of it, I guess it was the real person, because every time I called them out and told them, I don't believe you're the real person, they used to get worked up, and I get so, he was waving like I get angry when people don't believe that it's me and whatever. And I guess it was really him. But he was using such kind of things, apart from his good image underground, doing shady businesses in order to get money. And later on, I just found out that it was not just this thing that they were dealing with. And I guess they target single or unhappy women with children who are looking for money to elevate themselves, and they victimize such kind of people. And I guess they go all the way to sexually abuse such kind of people, because they trap them and then they kidnap them, they take them somewhere. In a basement or something like that, and they sexually abuse them. First, they nauseate them with something, and when they are unconscious, they take advantage of those people, and it's like selling them to other people as well. and they abuse children as well. It's an unending kind of an evil thing. And it goes on and on. They use most of the time spells in order to manipulate people. They spiritually attack you, they physically attack you when they can't get what they want. And I don't know, it's like there is a plan to kidnap somebody. They will put them, cage them, put them behind into a van, and then they will take them somewhere to a basement, and they will abuse that person and make them have their worst nightmare. And when they do such kind of things, the people end up being in remorse, and they feel like their whole world has gone down, and so they do what they want. And they are never caught. I don't know how that happens. How is it that they are never caught? But I hope everything which has a beginning has an end, and I hope they are caught. That's the kind of system they operate on. They victimize women, victimize children, victimize other people, and they have their own occults and groups where they do all these things, and they gang stalk you, they bully you, they cyberbully you in such a way that if you have anything online and you're working on anything online, they just sabotage whatever you have behind the scenes. And they make it in such a way that you're not able, you don't realize that they are doing it behind the scenes. Because while they're doing it, they're also doing it with spells, trying to make you have the illusion that you are not good and you're not able to do anything, so that you will surrender and you will go back to them, so that you can again have that illusion of I will earn money again in the shortest time as possible, and these are the only saviors I have. That is why what they want. I had no intentions of speaking on this at all, because I just wanted to detach away from all these toxic kind of things, and I'm still closing toxic relationships of mine with anyone. If I realize anything is toxic about anyone, I just cut off the person from my life. I'm trying. I'm not saying that I'm really good at it, but I'm trying. Having toxicity, how do I say it? Toxic people around you just sucks you out of your life. Sucks the life out of you, It sucks the life out of you, and you end up being just like a zombie, manipulated by everyone who just comes along, and you're a very good target of narcissists. So people should try not to continue their toxic cycles. And if they can find a way to solve those toxic relationships, they should. Otherwise, most of the time, if you have a narcissist kind of a toxic relationship with anyone, just know that it's a never-ending kind of a nightmare, and it won't finish unless the person whom you're dealing with decides they are also going to change, and they will do their work, their shadow work. Then it will work out. But if they don't do their shadow work, it won't work, and you will just have to walk away, because staying will only suck out your life, and you just might end up being dead somewhere, and nobody will know about it, because narcissists behave in such a way that they defame you, they slander you among people, and they always have this good image which people have of them. So whatever they say, people believe, and it's hard to prove yourself right among people. That's why I decided not to deal with such kind of people, because it's hard to prove yourself right with such kind of people. The only way you can save yourself is staying away from such. I could go on and on talking about these narcissistic kind of traits, narcissistic abuses, and it will never end, because all their tactics, all their efforts to keep the person under their control and manipulate them is never ending. They have all kinds of tricks, and they always have ways to get back to the person. So the only way is just to stay away from narcissists. Wow, I'm looking at the time. I've spoken for almost half an hour. And it will still go on and on. There is nothing. There's so much to it. There's so much. I didn't want to speak about this thing because it's not like I was feeling ashamed. It's because I don't want to feel the same kind of emotions I was feeling then, and that is a loophole I don't want to enter again. And this public kind of public figure, imposter or whatever, maybe it's him himself. I hope God shows him the right path and he stops doing all these things. It's pathetic and it's sad, because I trusted that he was a public figure, and I was thinking, if he does anything, it will just come out, and he will lose his reputation. But it's still going on, and it's like he's behaving like that nothing has happened. Still, I don't know what he's holding on to, because he's behaving like he doesn't know anything and he's innocent, and he's behaving as if he's feeling guilty that he introduced me into the thing and I didn't get anything and I got a loss, and it's as if he's feeling bad. But at the same time, he's not doing anything about it. If he is really a public figure, and the public figure that I know of, or rather I think he is, he should be able to compensate that amount back to me. And so I stopped talking to him, because I just let go, because I just realized it's not him. It's not him. And even now when I'm saying this, it's not him. I know he will get very angry. Anyway, that's his problem, because I don't want to deal with such kind of things anymore. And he's part of that kind of toxic kind of relationship within, and I don't want to go back there. And they can keep the money if they think they can keep that money. But it won't be a blessing, it's a curse on them. And it's not because I'm saying it, because I know God will make them have karma. I know that in a way they have karma up on their sleeve. Well, I started from zero, and they're still harassing me in all ways spiritually, because maybe now they're blocked spiritually, but physically, I still have some of their numbers and some keep calling. Anyway, I hope nobody falls into such kind of things because they are really traumatic kind of things. And people should be careful to whom they give their details, personal details. You don't know who you're dealing with. Sometimes it will be hard, because especially when they're using spells. It's hard for you to understand what they're doing unless you really have faith in God and you ask for help. Whatever you do in this world, do it for the sake of God and ask for help from God before you proceed with anything. Because when you walk alone, you're just a good prey for all these kind of wolves and tricksters. Anyway, that's all I had to say. And I guess it was time that I was speaking up on it, because I was waiting for a confirmation, and this was a confirmation. I'm told to speak it out, and here it is. It is what it is, and this is what it is. It is nothing but illusions, nothing but fake things, nothing but just cheating on people. They cheat people of their hard-earned money. It's not the amount of money I lost is not a big deal. It is the thought that I sold my father's car in order to pay my debts, and even gave a part of that amount of money to them. That's what's making me angry sometimes, and I have to release that. I surrender my anger to God. And I'm taking therapy over it, and I hope I will heal totally. My therapist says it takes about 2 years to get well from such kind of a thing. I will see what happens. But it was a big lesson. A big lesson that awoke me, a big lesson that put me on my spiritual journey and in my awakening. And it was a big lesson for me to realize that I was repeating cycles in my life, which I was holding on to, which were not good for me. They were not serving me. And I had to let go of all those cycles, whether past or former or anything which is going to come, whereby I hope I don't meet any kind of toxic kind of people, because the minute I feel somebody is toxic, I just walk away. And that's it. It was a long journey. It was a hard journey. It was very distressing. It was really draining. I can't believe that I'm speaking about it right now without feeling anything much. I'm just feeling a slight headache, like something is just, it's a bother kind of a thing to me. I'm not feeling the same emotions I used to feel about it when I used to think about what happened. I guess the therapy I'm going through is working in a way, because I used to cry a lot. I cried a lot. I really cried a lot, because it just made me realize what was happening in my marriage, because my ex-husband was almost doing the same thing, sucking out my finances, sucking out my confidence, sucking out my life out of me. And I ended up being like, I didn't know who I was. And I guess when I started out with the Forex thing, the aim was I wanted to earn money in the shortest time as possible so that I could save my marriage. But there was no marriage to be saved, is what I realized. It was just me struggling in the marriage and giving the effort. And the other person was not even concerned with their behavior. And the scouts were behaving in the same way. I was just the one providing the finance, and they were not doing anything to give back to what I was doing. It was almost the same thing. So when I divorced my ex-husband, I also divorced them as well. It was like I was divorcing everyone around me who was toxic. And I'm glad I did that. And it makes them mad to think that I'm standing on my ground. And oh my God. Because they don't want you standing on your ground. They want you to fall so that they can manipulate you to do what they want. And it's sad because whatever they're gaining is just finishing quickly. What you gain from evil, it just finishes off quickly. But when you gain from a blessing from God, it's long-lasting. But evil gains are always short-lived. And then you still start looking for another source. It applies to everyone in life. Whatever you gain through trick, it doesn't last. But what you gain with your honesty, with your integrity, it lasts long. I'm not making much at the moment. In fact, I'm not seeing anything at the moment. But it's something, and I'm thankful and grateful for that. At least I learned to know my worth. I learned to know that some people, you can't change some people, no matter how much you try. So it's not good to stay where you feel stuck. You have to keep moving on. I hope this helps somebody and realize that because I was in such a state at that time, I was used to winning in my life. So I didn't think I would lose. So I had to lose in order to win later on. And for me right now, it's a win. And I'm thankful and grateful for that. And by the way, these people don't use their real names. The Louis and James Parson, later on, I looked up in the internet, it was something like Anant or something like that. I have it on my channel. I put up his pic, and he's still going on scamming other people. He looks like he has a legit kind of a business, but underneath it, he has shady kind of businesses underneath it. And I know it's the same person because I made him video call. It's with James who didn't want to video call. And I guess he's using the Louis kind of a guy. Or rather, in quotes, Louis in quotes, because that's not his name. Anyway, I hope they get caught and they pay for what they've done. I'm not so bothered about that, but I would really like to hear that they paid for what they've done, because they've victimized a lot of people. I looked up their accounts, their Bitcoin accounts. There's so much money they're extracting from people, and they're using other people's money to trade online. And when they get the profits, they don't give back to people. that's evil. May God's wrath be on all of them, and may they be punished for what they have done. And victory is always God's. Glory be to God. And that's all. That's what I wanted to share. That's what I've been made to share today. Because it's been a long time. I feel like it was years ago I lived it, and it's only within a year that I've lived it. It was a year ago I lived this thing, and it took me a whole year to heal. Thankful and grateful for that. Anyway, thank you, God. Thank you, my guardian angels. Thank you, my ancestors. Thank you, my guardian spirits. Thank you, my guardian beings. I thank you, all of you, for all that you have guided me through. And I thank every other person who has helped me out with this. First and foremost, my therapist. And all the people who support me emotionally as well as financially. And thank you for listening. God bless.